Birmingham was roaring, but not the way you'd expect at an Ozzy Osbourne concert. This wasn't the thunder of riffs and rebellion. It was thousands of voices chanting Ozzy in haunting unison, not to welcome him to the stage, but to say goodbye. The Prince of Darkness, the man who shaped generations of heavy metal, was offering one final salute to the city that birthed his legend. But the night didn't end there. In fact, what came next would flip everything we thought we knew. Because as the curtains drew on Ozzy's public life, something quietly unsettling began to unfold. July 5th, 2025, Villa Park, Birmingham. The date now carved into music history. The crowd knew this was more than a concert. This was a moment suspended in time. Ozzy Osbourne, back in his hometown for what many believed would be his last bow. But he didn't erupt onto the stage like the mythic madman of metal. He was wheeled out slowly, seated in a black leather chair, more throne than seat. His eyes scanned the crowd, not in showmanship, but as if recording every soul into memory. Some said he smiled. Others swear they saw something else entirely in his gaze. Something unspoken. The set list that night? A time capsule of chaos and brilliance. But one song, one unexpected choice, turned the stadium silent. No one knew why it had been picked. Even fewer understood what it would come to mean just days later. Midway through the show, the lights dimmed. Figures appeared in the smoke. At first, just shadows. Then the fog lifted, and the impossible happened. It was Black Sabbath. Not a tribute act, not a hologram, the real deal. But something about the performance was different. It didn't feel like a reunion for the fans. It felt like a farewell for one of their own, as if they were playing to the soul of a friend slipping away. There were tears, there were cracked voices and trembling hands. And in all that emotion, no one saw what was happening behind the scenes. Something quiet, something hidden, something that would rewrite the meaning of that night forever. The concert ended, the crowd roared, but what happened next didn't make the headlines, not yet, because just 3 weeks later, the world would wake up to news that would turn that final concert from a goodbye into a haunting prelude. And buried inside that farewell was a detail so strange it made even Ozzy's inner circle pause. Why would they do that? On the morning of July 22nd, 2025, the world woke to a punch in the gut. Ozzy Osbourne, the eternal Prince of Darkness, was gone. The announcement came quietly, posted by his family on social media. Within minutes, it detonated across the world. They confirmed what fans had feared. Complications from Parkinson's and pneumonia had taken their final toll. His death certificate listed 3 words under occupation: songwriter, performer, rock legend. Nothing more was needed. By mid-morning, global media went dark in tribute. The BBC cut their regular programming for a full-length homage. Rolling Stone turned its homepage black, showing only one image: Ozzy in his youth, hair wild, grin wicked. Radio stations dropped their schedules and played Black Sabbath and solo tracks on repeat. Grief turned quickly from shock to something deeper. Fans weren't just mourning a music icon, they were saying goodbye to the soundtrack of their lives. For some, Ozzy was rebellion at full volume through bedroom speakers. For others, he was a voice that echoed through the loneliest nights, loud enough to silence the darkness. But if you thought the emotion peaked there, you don't know Ozzy. Because what unfolded next turned his death from a public loss into something far more mysterious. The question lingered: how do you say goodbye to a man who defined generations, sold out stadiums, and never played by the rules? The answer came swiftly. But it wouldn't look anything like the polished, scripted goodbyes of Hollywood. Ozzy's farewell wasn't polished. It spilled raw into the streets of Birmingham. On July 30th, 2025, under a heavy gray sky, thousands gathered, holding flowers, photos, and worn vinyl. The funeral procession moved slowly toward the Black Sabbath Bridge, a city landmark honoring the band that put Birmingham on the map. Silence fell as changes played softly. Peace signs rose, flowers rained down, and Sharon Osbourne and their children sat quietly. Grief held close. At the city center, A stage displayed giant images of Ozzy through the years. Friends and legends spoke, not just tears, but words that revealed who Ozzy was beyond the spotlight, whose voice broke. That story comes next. The following day, away from cameras, a private memorial at the Osbourne estate gathered close friends, Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, Robert Trujillo, all carrying decades of history and grief. Geezer Butler, usually reserved, spoke with trembling hands about their youth struggles and laughter. Then his voice cracked, silencing the room and moving even the toughest rock veterans to tears. Sharon held her children's hands as the moment lingered like a fading final note. In the days after, tributes flooded in worldwide. Words, memories, photos. But one stood above them all. Jack Osbourne, Ozzy's son, shared a tribute that captured the pain of a generation. "My heart has hurt too much," he wrote. "He was so many things to so many people, but I was lucky to call him Dad. He didn't count years, but days. 14,501 days with his father, each one precious." These were not rehearsed words, but raw grief from a son losing his hero. Jack's message spread rapidly, with fans adding their own memories, concerts, lyrics, moments when Ozzy's music saved them. One fan wrote, "I've been a Sabbath fan for 6,000 days. Jack had his dad twice that long, and it still wasn't enough." The tributes soon came from legends, too. Elton John called Ozzy one of the bravest men I've ever known. Rod Stewart called him the last true rock gladiator. Sharon Osbourne, silent through it all, simply reposted Jack's words. "He said it all." And then Jack's final line hit home. "Dad, I will keep the light on for you." That simple sentence said everything about a man who walked through darkness but left a light for others to follow. Now, the question remains, when your light goes out, will people remember how you died or how you lived? Ozzy's final chapter was a story no one could have scripted. From his last electric show to the silent streets of Birmingham, a city mourning a brother, not just a rock star. To fans, Ozzy was proof you could be broken, chaotic, and still be real. Still be beloved. His legacy isn't just the riffs of Paranoid or Crazy Train, it's in every soul who found hope or strength in his music. A pioneer, a rebel, but to his family, just Dad. Messy, funny, stubborn, and fiercely loving. The legend may have left the stage, but the echoes remain, in hearts, songs, and streets. And maybe that's the lesson. Life isn't made of perfect memories or polished endings. It's made of the days, the 14,501 of them, that you get with the ones who matter. So now the final question isn't about his fame, or his music, or even his death. It's this: how will you remember the man who dared to defy the darkness? How will you remember Ozzy Osbourne? Please subscribe to our channel for more videos, and don't forget to press the bell icon.